An Israeli journalist filmed himself walking in silence for 10 hours through the streets of Paris to show the sheer amount of verbal abuse and spitting that he receives on a daily basis just for walking while wearing a yarmulke. Now, the video was made by NRG, which is a website owned by Sheldon Adelson, a billionaire who's a notable funder of the Republican Party, and it hit 1 million views in 48 hours. Now, Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, made comments over the weekend that European Jews should all move to Israel. This is following the attack on a kosher deli in Paris last month after the Charlie Hebdo attacks, the destruction of 300 Jewish graves in France on Sunday, and the attack on a synagogue in Denmark this weekend. This is the response from Netanyahu. Quote, "Extremist Islamic terrorism has struck Europe again, this time in Denmark. We are preparing and calling for the absorption of mass immigration from Europe. To the Jews of Europe and to the Jews of the world, I say that Israel is waiting for you with open arms." Now, both France's Prime Minister Manuel Valls and the Chief Rabbi of Copenhagen have called for Jews to stand up for terrorism and to stay put in Europe. Let's take a look at the video of Paris. This is like the new wave of journalism now. We've seen the video in New York of the girl getting taunted by all the men. There was one earlier today in London of people being nice to a man walking through the streets of London. But now here in Paris, we've got this Jewish man with a yarmulke getting taunted and spitted at by people of Paris. Now, can we actually trust this kind of journalism? I mean, it's heavily edited.
Exactly.
96 seconds. What do you think about these kinds of videos, first of all?
Well, I think it's a little bit like the new iteration of journalism. You know, the access to smaller cameras, personal devices that can allow you to record in situations that before you'll have to have a crew with you to do this, and it will deter people from having these reactions. I think that we have to take them with a grain of salt. Definitely there is some truth to what is going on in that video, but at the same time, we don't know the intention. Like you said, the outlet that is putting this video out has a very clear political line. So, yes, there is an ambience of hatred toward Jews in the world lately. We've seen it in different areas of the world that they've been signaled, they've been targeted. But at the same time, I think that this type of journalism allows for a lot of people to doubt and to maybe not pay attention to the truth in it and try to find the doubt in it.
I'm not necessarily of the opinion that it's great journalism. As you say, we have to take these videos with a grain of salt. But the issue at hand is that Jews and Muslims, as we've seen recently, do not feel at home, especially in France. They feel segregated by the French community. Do you think that it's France's responsibility to do something about this? France has the third highest population of Jews in Europe, and now we're talking about the immigration of these Jews and moving them out.
I think that immigration is a big issue on France. We've seen that they have a big population that feels like second citizens. You know, not too many years ago, they were really impressive civil unrest from Muslim immigrants that didn't feel that they had a fair chance. Now we're seeing that situation is now being directed towards the Jews because of the things that are happening in the world. So I think that France needs to take decisive action on creating a safe environment for the people that is living there, regardless of their country of origin.
The Prime Minister of France did actually say it would be a letdown to the Republic of France if the Jews were to leave. And 7,000 Jewish people left France last year alone. That's a high proportion. Are they just letting the terrorists win if they do decide to move to Israel?
Well, it's hard to say. You know, as a family, what do you put first, the safety of your family or your political views or your political effort to rectify a situation? I think it's important to see that we shouldn't give terrorism space to grow. If we need to step and face it and say this is where it ends, we have to do that. But at the same time, I can see people saying, I don't want to put my family on risk. I'd rather go to a country that is receiving me with open arms. But again, what is the reason Israel wants all these Jews to come back into the country? That's a big question that we need to analyze, because it's not as easy as, hey, everybody, all the Jews in Europe, come to Israel and help me win the next election, or fortify my party with all these new people that I'm receiving. So we have to be careful that it doesn't get politicized and it doesn't get used as a, campaign excuse or a selling point.
As you say, the elections in Israel are only a month away, and Netanyahu may be making preparations for immigrants to arrive for genuine reasons, or it could be just a political propaganda in order to raise poll numbers.
I think so.
What do you think at home? Do you think that Netanyahu is genuine in his attempts to help Jews from Europe move to Israel, or is this political propaganda? And should France be taking more responsibility to make its Jewish people and Muslim people feel at home? Let us know in the comments below.